Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Podcast with Bhalchander Vishwanath, aka Bala. That is,
Yeah,
he is CEO at Nova Guild. He's in the Bay Area. And we're going to have a lot of fun today talking about tech, talking about funding, talking about startups, technology, growth, and everything in between. This podcast is brought to you by my podcasting company. It's called podpire.com. If you want to start or scale or monetize a podcast, hit me up. Just write Charles Cormier on Google or on LinkedIn. You will find me there, or go to podpire.com. Bala, welcome to the pod. Tell me about a bit more about yourself and a bit more about Novagale.
yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Charles. So my name is Bala Vishwanath. I'm based in the Bay Area. I've been in the Bay Area for around 20 years right now. Before that, I grew up in India. Um, so I started Novo Guild around 2.5 years ago. So Novo Guild helps. We help early stage startups build their founding team. You know, people who have the passion and are fully aligned to the team. That's the kind of people we try to find. Most of our clients are seed and Series A startups based in the Bay Area, and that's what we work with. We help them recruit people in US as well as in India. And finding great people goes a long way for a company to succeed, and that's what we try to do.
Right. Okay. So hiring in India, I mean, I've hired and managed over 1,000 employees in my career, and India still is top five. It's probably number two or number three in my list. It's really resilient. I do think that the next superpower, I don't think US will be overtaken, but I think, India will definitely have a big place on the world scene when it comes to economic power, talent, brain power, innovation, and everything between. So when you get that ambitious founder in front of you, they have some funding, they have some huge goals and ambitions. What kind of employee do you check for in India? It's not like the starting scale, definitely. It's more someone around 30, $40 an hour, which is the equivalent of someone charging 100, 150, or 200 an hour here in America. So how do you find these kind of folks? Wouldn't these kind of folks like just move away from India and ask for stronger salary? What's your strategy there?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, so typically what we see is that the people we find for these Silicon Valley startups, they have good options. They are pretty bright and smart. So typically, even in India, they earn about 1/3 of what they would have earned in the US or in Silicon Valley. So it's a very good pay in India. I think more than the pay, there are a lot of them whom the right kind of candidate we try to find is somebody who's really passionate about startups and wants to make an impact. So that's the right profile. You know, if they could join Google or a Microsoft in India who pays them a lot more, but they choose to work for startups which has an upside in case the startup succeeds, but the pay is a little lower than what they could have got elsewhere. So yeah, you do find. So in India, the startup culture has really caught on. It was not the case, I would say, 10 or 15 years back, but now it's really big. So there are people who really want to do something interesting. So yeah, that definitely is the case.
What kind of profile are you looking for? Is it Bangalore? Is it startup experience? Is it someone that is younger of minds and is on social media, someone that can think independently? What kind of profile are you looking for in India?
So we are not specific to geography like Bangalore. What we try to look for are ideally are people who are very intelligent, who have already ideally worked in a startup before, if they have got a little experience. Then we also look for people who are a little bit like a Swiss Army knife, who can do a lot of things and not just something very narrow. Um, but at the same time, they should be. It's not enough being a Swiss Army knife, because you know a Swiss Army knife is useful, but you don't use it on a day-to-day basis. It's good when you go hiking, for example, but you want somebody who's like a Swiss Army knife, but also like a chef's knife. So you can use them for everyday use, but they can turn into, imagine like a chef knife which can transform itself into a Swiss Army knife. That's an ideal kind of a profile for us. And of course, the guy has to be very high energy and also, I would say, high integrity and somebody whom you can rely on. Um, Intelligence, of course, that goes without saying, and somebody who's aspiring at some point in time in his or her life to maybe eventually be a co-founder of a startup. That would be really somebody who's good technically and who probably meets all these criteria.
Right. So the hiring market this year has sort of frozen. I've seen it in my recruiting firms, clients that I do cold email for, and an array of other services, podcasting as a service, for example, and everything in between. Have you felt that? And second, how do you distinguish yourself? I mean, you're focused on Silicon Valley, but what about the payment terms? Is it like the 10%, the 15%? So first, comment on the market, and second, how do you distinguish yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, so look, we are a young firm. We are 2.5 years old. So the year began. It was very tough for us. It was very tough when all the companies stopped hiring, but actually towards the latter part of the year, it's actually been much better. In fact, we are doing pretty decent right now. We've hired 2 people, so it's actually been, yeah, as the year progressed, things have gotten better. Uh, uh, and I think one of the reasons, and that probably will also answer the other question which you asked, is how we are differentiated. Uh, our quality is very good. The quality of candidates we find, and in terms of any metric which our client is looking at, is how fast we are able to hire, how good we are able to hire, whether the people we hire, whether they join, all that is pretty good. And not only that, we also go above and beyond in helping our startup clients. We sometimes help them raise funding, help them connect with potential customers. We do all of that. But coming to the main part, which is the hiring part, uh, what we do is that we use the same principles which Toyota uses for making cars, which is lean manufacturing. They call it lean manufacturing, but we use lean for hiring. And to put it very broadly, lean has got lot of ideas. One is focus on quality, and that's what we focus on. Then it is also applying the scientific method to management. So everything is a hypothesis. You test it out as an experiment, see how it works out. So that's the other thing. Third is continuous improvement. Continuously get better at what you're doing. The fourth thing, what it also does is eliminate waste. Eliminate wasted effort, and we look at very waste very holistically, in the sense that we look at the time which our clients spend in interviewing, or the stress of interviewing. So all those are kinds of waste. So we try to minimize that. So, and that again ties into qualities. But now this might seem like very broad jargon, but we take it really very seriously. Uh, so very, very deep focus on quality and continuous improvement and lean. And so the result is that we are able to see, like, in our hiring statistics, our clients come back and say, hey, 1 in 4 hires turns out to be a rock star, way beyond their expectations. And the other thing which we try to avoid is mishires. And we had a mishire, I would say, beginning of the year. But other than that, it really doesn't happen. So I would say our mishire ratio is probably 1 in 16 or 1 in 20, which is incredibly low, sorry, which is incredibly low for a early stage startup. And so we are pleased with that. So I think that's what is helping us sign on new clients. So that's working very well for us so far. And we hope to get better at it in due course as well.
So do you take a fee, the 10% fee, or is it a more innovative pricing package?
No, so in fact, that's a very good question. I had no background in recruiting, and when I got into this, we had a very innovative pricing model. And but all our clients said, we don't want this innovation on this pricing model. It just wouldn't fit in their framework. So then we've gone back to like a very we typically take 15%, and we take a 15% of the annual compensation of the employee for the first year compensation. That's what we do. And
Okay,
that's
and
what seems to fit in. That's what seems to fit in with what customers are looking at.
okay, and how is the market moving? Like me, I let go of all my team this year. I only have AIs working for me now, and I'm very happy with it. And Me, I'm always like 3 to 4 to 5 years ahead of everyone. I think that everyone will jump in the bandwagon. I don't want to call myself a solopreneur because I have huge ambitions, billion, $1 trillion ambitions. But maybe an AI-preneur, someone that just wants to hire a bunch of AI agent and do you think that, yeah, just placing all my tokens in that area will pay off massively? Do you think that is the future in which like one human manages multiple AIs? Would that make sense?
Yeah, it's a good question. Okay, so I think in the long term future, like 20, 30, 40, 50 years down the line, I think that is going to be the way it is going to be. There's going to be a lot of AI. I think till that phase, it's going to be a slow transition. And I don't know when that phase will come. It might be 50 years, 100 years, I don't know. But at the same time, I see that our human needs are expanding. The human needs, if we were to put Maslow's hierarchy, at the top level, at the bottom level, you have the very basic needs like safety and all of that. And at the top, you have things like self-actualization. So if we look at the percentage of the world population, probably uh, 80 to 90% is at the bottom tier, and there is a very small percentage which is at the top tier. So I think eventually in this world, if everything goes well and we have all these magical technologies, um, more and more percentage of the world population will go to meeting the fulfilling those top needs. So what does that mean? So you will need a lot of people helping people achieve those goals. So there are going to be new kinds of jobs created, and I'm not able to imagine what those kinds of jobs are. But imagine if everybody has to get the self-actualized, right? So you need coaches, you need mentors, you need to listening to so there are going to be a lot of services, and a lot of those are going to be human and AI driven. But yes, so it's going to be a very interesting world. So it's not that I don't see a dystopian world where there are no jobs. I think there are going to be jobs, but the nature of jobs are going to be very sophisticated, and human to human interaction is going to be there, and that will be highly valued. And there is also going to be AI, and there is going to be AI assisting humans. It's going to be a lot of algorithms assisting humans. So it's going to be very sophisticated. I can't imagine it fully, but I think that's where the world is headed towards.
In the Bay, where you are located, what trends are you seeing? And how do you picture the future to be in 5 to 10 years in the job market? What area is going to grow? What industry is going to grow? What roles are going to be popular? What is your take on these trends?
Yeah, so I think the next few decades are going to be spent in AI-fying everything. So like the last few decades have been spent in software, the next few decades are going to be spent in AI-fying. And we are going to go through, I think, a few steps forward, a few steps back. So there is going to be a lot of need for talent for AI-fying, and that's going to be in core AI, in software, a whole bunch of things. And so I do see there is a need of talent, but that is also going to disrupt a lot of industries. There are going to be some professions which are going to there is going to be loss of people, where you won't need that much people. Uh, so we are going to go through that flux for the next few decades. That is what I see it as. I don't think it's like a 2 or 3 year thing. I think it's a multi-decade thing running into several decades. So there is going to be a transition in jobs which is going to happen. There's going to be a lot of technology, and so it's going to create jobs. But at the same time, there are some professions which are going to get impacted. Like maybe there will be self-driving cars all over the world, and you may not need truck drivers. Yes, so there is going to be disruption there. Uh, but yes, as far as core technology involving software, I think there more jobs are going to be created. But software developers are getting productive as well, more productive as well. So what took a software developer 30 days now perhaps can be done in 5 days or 6 days. So it's very complex to predict. I wouldn't hazard a guess. It's very complicated, but there are going to be lots of changes. Agriculture is going to change. There's going to be AI in agriculture. You may not need so many people in agriculture. Um, I think there is going to be a big upheaval, but it's like, if you ask me how I see the job market changing, I don't have an answer. I know it's going to change dramatically, but I don't, I can't tell you the specifics.
What has been the challenges for you this year in 2023, and how will that shape your 2024 goals?
I think our 2023 challenges was, I think, differentiating our company, and I think finding customers. I think those challenges are going to remain. How do we build trust with potential customers? Why would they want to choose us? Because we say our quality is great, but everybody says the same thing. So how do they experience it? So I think those challenges are going to remain. I think our biggest challenge, I would say, uh, is finding clients and also bringing technology into our operations. So these are, I think, going to be our two big operations, and building that as we grow. I think that's going to be our biggest challenge.
And the goals next year, precisely, do you have a top three that you have your eyes set upon?
Yeah, I'm not very goal driven. I'm kind of more iterative and do things on the fly. So I don't have any very specific goals. I think we want to get greater momentum in what we do, and we want to bring more technology into what we do, and get better at what we do. If I were to if I when I look back at the end of this year, I think we are 3 to 4 times better than what we did at the beginning of the year. I would like to see the same momentum continue next year. And even now, right now, I think we are probably amongst the best in the world. I think we want to get even better at the end of next year. So yeah, that would be my top goal. I think if there is a top goal, I want us to be even much better than what we are at right now, at what we do. And I think if we keep doing that, I think our customers will follow and everything will follow.
Your day to day, Bala, does it look like? What habits do you adopt to increase your productivity and happiness?
Yeah, so I'm very conscious about that. So uh, I try to eat well. I exercise. I meditate every day. Then I focus on my work. I try to read every day. I read quite a bit, and I listen to podcasts. Then what else? Yeah, these are some of the things I do. But I have quite a rigorous schedule in terms of habits, what I try to cultivate. So I'm very focused on that. I have a list of habits which I want to cultivate every year. And so I try to, whatever habits of mine, like, exercising, meditating, I try to do it every day. Then there are few habits. So I really don't have a goal list. I really have a habit list. So every year I kind of try to see, these are the new habits I want to acquire. One habit which I want to acquire this year is, get a sense of what my emotional state is at every point in time. Be aware of it. I don't think I'm there yet. Sometimes I'm upset, and I'm sometimes not aware that I'm upset. So I want to become more aware of that. So yeah, I keep a running list of habits which I want to cultivate.
Not getting upset.
Yeah. Not, or being aware that I'm upset. Sometimes we are not aware that we are upset.
So what does upset you? I'm upset a lot nowadays. I'm upset at the idiots running the board at OpenAI, amongst others.
uh, what upsets me? That's a very, there are lots of things which can be upsetting. It's It can be small stressors, it can be large stressors. Yeah, I think there can be a lot. It depends on what we pay our attention to and what we can tune out from. So yeah.
What about like positive habits? What do you have your sights upon when it comes to adopting habits that can add exponential value to your life? What would those be?
I think health is hugely underrated and important. That is what I would say, because if you don't have health, good health, I think everything goes for a toss. I think health is hugely important. I think peace of mind is hugely important, so you can think creatively. Anything which reading, like I think I don't think I read as many books this year, but I think a couple of years back I read close to 35 books. So if I can, if for next year, if I can, I read one wonderful book. I've been reading one book, the Algorithms to Live By, fabulous book. Uh, uh, so if I can read like 30, 35 books next year, I think I'll be very happy and meet lots of interesting people. That's also there. So, but all this takes effort, right? Meeting people requires that you need to go to networking events, meet people, build new relationships. And so all of that means that, you have to do everything else well. So if I have to read 30, 35 books next year, my rest of my life has to be in order so that I have the time for doing that.
Well, where can people find out more information about you and your company?
Yeah, visit our website, novoguild.com, novoguild.com. Yeah, that's one good place. Yeah.
That was Bala Vish, and Charles Cormier for another CEO Wisdom Podcast.com.